Hey guys, it's Ishan here, bringing you guys a new series that I am starting called Advanced Rulings Made Simple. Now, the reason I wanted to start this series was because I find that the way Yu-Gi-Oh players learn rulings is not very conducive. Like, Yu-Gi-Oh is a very complicated game, and a lot of the rulings seem complex, but my goal is to break them down for you in the simplest way possible. So every single one of the videos in this series to teach you a rule that you can apply to many situations in a game, and so that you'll learn the rule forever so that you won't forget. I don't teach specific interactions, I teach rules, and these interactions come up a lot and you can apply those rules to that. So I know a lot of people have been requesting these types of videos. So if you want to see more of this, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment. I look at all the statistics when I decide to see if I should continue a series. So let's talk about this thumbnail. It says Mechaba negates but doesn't banish. And that seems weird because, well, you know, if we take a look at invoked Mechaba, you can see here that it says once per turn when a spell or trap card is activated or monster effect is activated, quick effect, you can negate basically and banish that card, right? So how come Mechaba doesn't banish? Well, let me show you something. If you activate Hieratic Seal's tribute effect, so you can tribute it as cost, return a face-up card in the field to the hand, and if Mechaba tries to negate that effect, Hieratic Seal won't be banished. And you may be wondering, what the heck, why is that the case? And we're going to help you answer that question in today's video. We're going to learn some golden rules, some key rules that come up a lot in Yu-Gi-Oh! Okay, so why is this video titled Location? Well, the reason Mechaba doesn't banish when Hieratic Seal is activated is a lot related to this. So I got like a picture of a Yu-Gi-Oh mat here. You can see we've got a big red square in the middle. That's the field. And everything on the field is a location, right? Another location would be a different location, I will say, is the graveyard, right? So if something moves from the field to the graveyard, it will change locations. Other locations in Yu-Gi-Oh! The hand, if a card goes from graveyard to the hand, it's changed location. Deck is another location, so if it goes from deck to graveyard, that's a change in location. Extra deck, another location. So extra deck to field, that's a change in location. Banish, so graveyard to banish, that's a change in location. So that's what I mean by the locations in Yu-Gi-Oh! A location of a card being on the field, being in the graveyard, being your deck, etc., etc., etc. So what does this concept of location give us? Okay, and it gives us a key rule. And the first and most important rule that you need to remember and will help you be much better at rulings is the first one right here. If a card changes location, it is considered a different card. Now, this seems a little weird at first, but let's take that into perspective. If a monster goes from the field to the graveyard, even though I just took that physical card and put it in the graveyard, it is actually, by game mechanics and by the rules of the game, considered a different card. If I discard a card from my hand to the graveyard, the card in the graveyard is not the card that I just discarded from my hand. Okay, so that's the key rule here. And the second thing is that the location of an effect is where the effect was activated before any costs are paid. Okay, and this is a little bit more wordy, but basically what it's saying is, okay, if I activate like an Ash Blossom in Joyous Spring and I discard it to the graveyard for cost, right? It's considered to have activated in the hand, not in the graveyard, because Ash Blossom was in the hand before any costs were paid. Okay, so those are the two rules, right? So let's go back and take a look at this example. So the reason Mechaba doesn't banish the Hieratic Seal is that when you take the Hieratic Seal and tribute it, the Hieratic Seal in the graveyard is not the same as the Hieratic Seal that was on the field moments ago. Remember, if a card changes location, it is considered a different card. So as soon as that Hieratic Seal tributes itself, it's a new card in the graveyard, not the same as the card on the field. Now, if we go back to our rule that says the location of an effect is where the effect was activated before any costs are paid, right? So we know that Hieratic Seal activated on the field, right? Because that monster in the field was the one that activated the effect. However, Mechaba negates the effect of the monster in the field, right? Because it says negate that effect, right? Negate the activation, I should say. And if you do banish that card, however, the card that activated the effect is no longer, does not exist anymore, there is nothing to banish. So that's why Mechabut does not banish the Heretic Seal, right? So I'll go over this one more time here, just real quickly. So Heretic Seal activates its effect. The monster that activated the effect no longer exists in the game because Heretic Seal went from the field to the graveyard. It changed location. Mechabut can still negate that effect because that effect still exists. However, it cannot banish that card that activated the effect because that card no longer exists since it changed location. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, so now once you can wrap your head around that, the rest of the video is pretty simple. So that's really the main thing I want to teach you in this video. And this comes up so much in competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! This distinction. And if you know the rules, it can be important for you. So let's take a look at a card that I think a lot of people think they understand, but don't understand why it's worded this way. So look at Called by the Grave. Target one monster in your opponent's graveyard, banish it, and if you do, until the end of the next turn, its effects are negated, as well as the activated effects and the effects of on the field of monsters with the same original name. Okay, so the truth is that its effects are negated isn't the most necessary line, because what's really important is that Called by the Grave negates monsters with the same original name. If it just said its effects are negated, Called by the Grave couldn't even stop hand traps. Because remember, like I said, Ash Blossom, you activate it in the hand, you discard it. The card in the graveyard is not the card that activated the effect. So if Called by the Grave was chained to Ash Blossom and it didn't negate monsters with the same original name, it actually wouldn't even negate hand traps at all. I know that's crazy, right? So that's why Called by the Grave has to say the monsters with the same original name, or else it wouldn't do anything to hand traps. So that's an example I like to bring up to players to remind them how this whole location things work. Okay, so let's do some quick review. We've got two cards here. Chainlink 1, a player discards Tri-Brigade Fractal's cost to send a Tri-Beast type monster from their deck to the graveyard. Red Eyes Dark Dragoon negates that effect, right? Now notice, let's take a look at Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. This is what I'm trying to point out here is, you can discard a card, right? Negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. Right, so you can negate the activation because remember the effect activating the hand, Red Eyes Dark Dragoon has no problem doing that. However, it cannot destroy that card that activated the effect because remember that card doesn't exist anymore. Fractal discarded itself as cost. The Fractal in the graveyard is not the same as the Fractal that was in your hand. So that card cannot be destroyed. And since that card cannot be destroyed, and it says, and if you do that, this card gains 1,000 attack. So actually, Red Eyes Dark Dragoon would not gain any attack, right? So that's how you can use this location. Well, just remember, if a card changes location, it's considered a different card, okay? Let's take a look at something more normal, maybe something that works maybe more how you would expect it, which is like a Drytron versus a Debunk. So if I go Chainlink 1, activate Drytron Alpha, right? It activates in the hand, I attribute something as cost, right? I can't attribute itself, so I activate the hand, I attribute something as cost. That alpha that's in my hand currently is the card acting the effect. So if Debunk activates, it can negate that activation. And since that card that activated the effect, alpha in this case, is in your hand, it can be banished, right? So since that card still exists, Debunk is easily able to banish that card. So I hope you guys learned something from this video. I try to keep these on the short side because I don't want to take too long, but just remember, if a card changes location, it is considered a different card by game mechanics. All right, guys, that's the main point I wanted to get across in the video. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this one, and hopefully I will see you guys in the next video.